Hello and welcome back to Speed Demon Painting. Today we are taking a look at the new releases that were put up for Dystopian Wars by Warcradle Studios and to see what is coming up for the month of August. Now, as always, you will have a month to pre-order these, and then at the end of August these should be available to you. This announcement was done on the blog site from Warcradle, that is blog.warcradle.com, and there they go over all of the new releases. And there are essentially 3 releases for Dystopian Wars, and then also some of the extra MDF sets for Wild West Exodus, which is now made in the new colored MDF, making it very easy to get a suitable table ready for that game as well. Now, the big release in this month was the Black Wolf Battlefleet set. Now, it uses the Murmansk that was seen a few months earlier, but it's a good thing that they are re-releasing this model in a new box set. Why? This is essentially the Mercenary faction that is coming out, which is part of the Commonwealth, and is of course the Black Wolf Mercenary fleet for them. Now, this is the best way to start with the game to begin with, even if you don't have an army already, or a fleet I should say. And if you have got a fleet already, this would essentially give you a monstrously big mercenary force to accompany them anyway, so it's well worth taking a look at. Now, if we're looking in detail what you get out of in this box, you get of course the big Murmansk model, which isn't meant to be assembled as a Murmansk in this setup, but as the Anastasia, which is a named version of one of these giant doom donuts, as I like to call them. And on top of that one, we are seeing a common, like an older set of plastics being added to it, but which is still very, very good, which is 4 of the support sprue plastics going with it. And a new sprue as well being added, being the submarines, which will most likely also become available later on as a separate release for the Ukrainian force of the Commonwealth, which is in this context seen as Black Wolf Mercenaries. So, when we're taking a close look at this big box follows the traditional release of having one giant resin ship followed with 6 plastic sprues, 4 of which being the support plastic sprues, and 2 plastic sprues I assume being the new Ukrainian submarines. Now, they also go in on what all of these brings, and one of the more important releases are of course those new submarines to go along with it, and this is the Deathbringer specifically. It's the flagship being owned by one of them, but the main mercenary bad guy in this case, and it packs quite a wallop. It's a 265 point ship, if I'm not mistaken. Comes with this lovely little seismic bore at the front, and lots and lots of torpedo attacks as well to go along with it. And a nice little shot at the back. This is also something I wanted to point out. I'm not quite sure what this one is. There was a recent change in the Commonwealth Orbat to have a difference between the molded on plastic seismic mortars and the gun batteries, and I think these might be the new single normal gun batteries that we'll see in the Commonwealth as well, because they can be changed to be either the seismic mortar or this one. So yeah, that's essentially the Deathbringer, which is the first flagship that you find in this box. And then Anastasia, the named big flagship that comes with it. It is sort of a hybrid of an SRS launch station and a repair facility dock that comes along with it. Comes with 2 shield generator and magnetic generator, and then a whole bunch of different railguns to accompany it. So you should be having a frightful firepower heavy fortress to go along with your mercenaries. Now, like I said, there's a support sprue added to it as well, and that's because these 2 type of ships can be included in your mercenary force. The first is the Katanga class, so if you buy this set and you don't quite know what to do with the assembly, because that can sometimes be confusing for new players, you do want to assemble this as a Katanga. You can't really use any of the other build options because they do not belong to this mercenary sub-faction. And besides the Katanga, you also get the Stolotov Ekranoplan. These aren't airplanes, these are Ekranoplans, which is a sort of weird Soviet invention from the 60s of this very low-flying, big, massive ships slash airplanes, the ones that use ground effect. If you're interested, definitely find a few videos on YouTube about Ekranoplans. There are some very interesting constructions. And it's not just the big Deathbringer that you can make out of it. You can also assemble them as Akula class Grand submarines, which is the non-flagship version of them, which we see here. Very obvious similarities to the Deathbringer, of course, but it means that you can actually use quite a lot of these in your fleet, because of this Akula class Grand submarine is a Mass 3 ship that isn't a flagship, so you can keep using that one in your force over and over again, should you so desire. And of course the other submarines as well. There are 4 of these guys in it, which is the Kizak class attack submarine. Comes with a heavy torpedo salvo and a rocket battery, so packs a lot of firepower. For only 55 points is a very good entry into the whole thing. And then there's also the smaller Mass 1 submarines, which are called the Piranha class, and they can actually serve as escorts for your Deathbringer as well, and it comes with 4 of these, which leads me to believe that a single one of these Ukrainian submarine sprues is one of those big Mass 3 submarines, which you can assemble as either an Akula or a Deathbringer, 2 of these Kizaks, and 2 of these Piranhas. And like I said, you get 2 of these, so that makes 4 in grand total of them. And now a small bit on why I think this is one of the best sets they have released so far. We've seen some of the bigger sets before, like the Victory, like the Ice Maiden, the Enterprise, those sorts of boxes. Now, the one downside with it was that it only came with 1 flagship, and those flagships tended to be big flagships that take up a lot of points, and you're sort of forced to almost play fairly large point games if you want to use them. It's not to say that you have to, but as a beginner, they're a bit daunting and a bit complex to start off with. This box set comes with 2 flagships. It comes with the Anastasia, which is the big ship that you kind of want to use if you're a more experienced player, and a Deathbringer, which is a lot smaller and more in line with what you find in other battle fleets that are more suited towards starting players, so the game doesn't become overwhelming straight away. And this is why I love it. You can break this box up into something that will constitute a small 1000 point game, but you can go as far as to 2000 points with this one. Why? Well, the Anastasia, when we look at it, is a flagship that is 500 points. The Deathbringer is 265. If you add an Akula Grand Submarine, that is another 200. You have 4 of these Kizaks attack submarines, which are 55 points each. You then have 4 Piranhas, which are 30 points each, and 4 of those big Katanga Cryo assault cruisers. The one that everyone really likes, it's the one with the killer drill. And remember, you have to assemble them as these ships if you want to use them as mercenaries. And on top of that, you also get 4 of these Ekranoplans, which are 48 points each. That rounds it off to well over 2000 points. The only one that is slightly awkward in this whole story is the 4th Katanga Cryo assault cruiser. That was one that was 144 points, so you kind of want to deduct that one. That means you still have some points left over for the occasional weapons upgrade, or if you want to upgrade one of your submarines to become an unexpected arrival entry and that sort of thing, meaning you still have some points to play with, as you do in Dystopian Wars, so you're left with a phenomenally capable 2000 point fleet straight out of the box. So big thumbs up. I can only recommend it really, both to veterans and new players. The Black Wolf box wasn't the only exciting release coming out though. They also released the Scandinavians with the Ragnarok battlefleet set. Now this is a more traditional battlefleet, like I said, which comes with a flagship, a Mass 3 flagship, and then 2 well, I suppose these will be frontline squadrons for the Scandinavians, 2 of those sprues. And those sprues built the traditional 1 cruiser and 2 Mass 1 ships to go along with it, and of course you still get your big flagship to go with it as well. Now, what are the ships that you'll be getting? Well, that is the Hoth class heavy corvette. Beautiful little ship, comes with a, I believe this is a Sturmklau, the smallest version of the 3 Sturm weapons that are mounted on it, with of course broadsides as well. And that is a cute little Mass 1 frigate that you get 4 of in this box. And that's good news, because you can use these both as an escort duty role for your flagships and as a unit on their own. You get the big Ragnarok heavy class Reaver, which is a very narrow ship for the Dystopian Wars aesthetic that they've got going, but I do like it. It's very pointy, and this one comes with the big Sturmbringer in the front, the largest variant of it, and 2 seemingly redesigned cannons. They look, well, they're heavy volt gun batteries of course, but they are closer to the ones that appear on the Hochmeister set than the one of the very first plastic set that they did, so their barrels are more level compared to the ones that are slightly more angled in the original set. And then you have the cruiser. Of course, the cruisers are the ones that you can build in multiple variants, and the first class of this one is the Odin class, which brings a heavy Sturmklau and a heavy gun battery, heavy volt gun battery I should say, in the front of it. And it has this lovely dual back again in the rear with a bit of a negative space there in the middle. I really like this. This one is the what we call mainstay cruiser for the Scandinavians, the one in the middle, the one that is very points effective on it as well. The big version that you can make out of this cruiser is the Jotun, and that one comes with all the bells and whistles, being a heavy Sturmklau, a normal Sturmklau, and then the heavy volt gun battery on it as well. As we've seen in the Orbat deep dive, all guns facing forward, and this is the big version that you can get. And then the smallest version you can get is the Gugnir class light Reaver. Now this one's also very interesting. It's got the heavy Sturmklau and normal Sturmklau, and it's got an escort duty role to go along with your Hoth heavy corvettes. So if you find yourself with an extra ship, you can always build one as a Gugnir and just add it to your existing unit of Hoth corvettes as well in game, which makes it an interesting sort of frontline squadron, I should say. And then to round things off for the Dystopian Wars releases for this month, the French are seeing their support squadrons, the Levant squadrons, being released, and these are of course 2 cruisers with 2 submarines and the SRS tokens for the French fleet being included in them. Now, we've seen 3 build options for these. The first one is the Chasseur class, which is sort of the mainstay one that you can get. You can build it into a full version with all of the heat lances, should you so desire. Very handy if you are using a Solex generator on top of them as well. And yeah, that's just a sexy ship, isn't it? It's just those flying ones. I really do want to start a French fleet using just these, but sadly I've got a bit too many of projects on the table already that I have to be disciplined with and finish first before I delve into the French side of things. And of course there's the Furieux class, which sort of drops bombs behind it. These ships are meant to fly over the enemy and to start dropping bombs on them. And I think this is the rocket battery that comes along with it for the French as well. So yeah, gorgeous little ships. Daz really did a very lovely job painting these up as well. I like it. And of course you can use it as the Voliere class, the flying Mass 2 supporter for your fleet. So yeah, very good box set. And then the submarine, which can be used as a Siren class, a very close up version with a heat lance set on it, or if you prefer to hang back and shoot, which I think is a very valuable position for the French fleet, because the French fleet is already very get close into the enemy's face and start shooting at them before they shoot at you. This one gives you a bit of long range firepower to go along with it. So yeah, perfect addition for what we've seen already. And there we have it. These are the different releases for Dystopian Wars. And I hope you liked this video. And see you on the next one. Bye.